All right, everybody, welcome to the second video on our scripting series on the Rive channel. Today, we're going to be explaining what exactly the Luau programming language is. So, let's get into it. First, what is Luau? And I went to Wikipedia to dig up this definition. So, Luau is a fast, small, and gradual typed programming language derived from Luau 5.1, developed by Roblox Corporation. So, the core scripting language used inside Roblox Studio to program game logic, user interface, and plugins. But fortunately for us, this is also the scripting language that Rive has just recently introduced for scripting within Rive. Now, so the keyword from what I just explained is gradually typed. Now, so the question is, what exactly does a gradually typed programming language refer to? So basically, for every programming language, there is what we call a type checking system. This type checking system is how the computer checks for type errors as it compiles any code that you write. And when I say computer now, I'm really talking about the compiler. When it comes to writing code, there is your editor where you actually write the code, and there is the compiler, that is what compiles, that is runs, executes the code that you have actually written. Before the compiler executes that code, or during the execution, it does what we call type checking. And how, depending on when that type checking occurs, determines the type of programming language that we are talking about. This is one of the, like a classification. Type checking system is also a classification for the types of programming language. For this video, I'm using the word type errors, which as a short form for data type errors. Data type errors to refer to data type mismatches. Now, what exactly are data type errors or type errors? Type errors is like when you're having a mismatch between types. Let's say, for instance, you write in your code, you declare a variable in your code, and you say this variable is a number. Then at another point in your code, you then go ahead to say this variable that I just declared is a string. Whatever programming language you use is going to give off an error that there's a mismatch. You've just told us earlier that the type of this variable that you declared is a number. How come you're saying at another point that this data type is a word, which is a string now, or maybe a boolean or whatever? The compiler has to check for these errors. How it flags the error will be before or during compilation, and if your programming language flags error before compilation, it is called a static programming language. If it flags the error during compilation, it is called a dynamic programming language. So examples of a static programming language is C++ and Java. Examples of dynamic programming language is Python and JavaScript. What is a gradually typed programming language? So we've explained the type that we're talking about here, which is type checking. The type behind the gradually type is actually type checking. So when we're saying gradually type, so we're saying that type checking for this particular language occurs gradually. Now, for a static programming language like C++, if you're going to declare any variable, you first have to tell us what type of that thing is. So let's say, for instance, you want to declare a variable x. The moment you're typing variable x in C++ or Java, you have to tell us whether this is an integer, is a string, what type, what data type is this particular variable. However, for dynamic programming language like Python or JavaScript, you don't have to tell us this variable is this type. All right, so gradually typed programming language sits in the middle. So they are just like static programming language in that before they do the compilation, they would have checked for any type mismatches. But they are like dynamic programming language in that they allow you to type your, in fact, what happens is that, for instance, if you're writing in Luau and you're declaring a variable, immediately you declare that variable, Luau already assumes a type for that variable, even if you did not name or give it a type. So it gives it a default type called any, right? So the moment you declare, let's say, local x, a variable, it automatically gives it a generic type, such that later when you come to tell us that, oh, this type is a number, it just automatically overrides the initial default type that he has given it. The gradually typed programming gives us the flexibility of both static programming and dynamic programming. Now, of course, it still doesn't mean that you can make errors, like type errors, like saying, okay, let's say for instance, you first told us that this variable is a number, and then later on you come in to tell us that this variable is a string. You are going to have errors, right? So gradually typed programming language doesn't mean it overlooks data type errors. It just means that it's not as strict on having to tell us which data type a variable is before going ahead to use that variable as you're typing your code. And this very little detail is very important when it comes to understanding how things function within Luau. If you're liking this video, you'll definitely like our free Telegram channel for Rive animators. Check out the link in the description. We also hold bi-weekly fireside chats with industry experts to teach industry standard workflows and to introduce people to what's currently working within the Rive animation industry. See you there. Alright, let's quickly do a recap. Static type will not allow your code to compile if you don't explicitly declare the data types. So if you're trying to declare a variable and you don't tell us that, oh, this particular variable is of this data type, your code won't compile if you're using C++ or Java. Now, for dynamic programming languages, you're free to go ahead, not tell us, whatever data type your variable is. The compiler basically just ignores everything you're doing until you're actually trying to compile your code. So when you compile your code, the moment you're compiling your code and as your compiler is going through your code to execute it, when it finds any type error, it returns to tell you that, oh, there's a data type mismatch. But for gradually typed programming, you don't have to declare what the type of your variable is, but it checks for data type errors before you compile the entire code. Just hope this actually makes more sense. If you have any questions and you really would like to get this in depth, ensure you actually leave a comment under this video, and then I'm going to I'll be glad to make another video to explain that. That is all for understanding what exactly Luau is, that is in the programming language. In the next set of videos, we are going to be talking about data types, we're going to be talking about variables, we're going to be talking about tables, loops, functions, and methods. And we're going to be talking about general methods that we have within the Luau scripting that carries over to Rive, and also some methods that we have that are just only unique to Rive that are not accessible within Roblox or just general Luau programming language. So if you find this video useful, ensure to leave a like. You can share with your friends as well. If you're not subscribed to this channel, ensure you actually subscribe to get more detailed information about scripting, Luau scripting in Rive. So see you in the next video.